of all your partners on Sweetens Cove, who is the most annoying?
I mean, definitely Andy.
Andy Roddick?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, so good. It like derails my train of thought good.
That's
Yeah.
how you know it's right.
That's how you know it's right.
This is a uplifting kind of flavor for me. Well, cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
A big thank you to our sponsors for making this show possible.
Welcome back to the Fred Minnick Show, presented by Baxis. Hey, if you're like me, you've been shopping for bourbon for a long time, and you're probably tired of going into stores that claim they don't have the bottles that you want, but they're actually in the back. You gotta know the manager, you gotta flirt with the cashier, you gotta figure out a way to get the bottle, and it just kind of gets exhausting. And then you go home and you Google the bottle, and turns out it's like 15 times the price of the SRP. Well, I've been kind of tired of that, and so I've been looking for avenues where there's transparent pricing, and I found Baxis, Baxis.co. Now, they are the presenting sponsor of the Fred Minnick Show for a reason. This is an incredible marketplace of spirits where people like me, collectors, are selling to other collectors their own bottles, buying, selling, trading, storing. This is an incredible place. My favorite part about Baxis is you can see the lowest price of something recently and the highest price. And then there's the price that you have on Baxis. So go check out Baxis. That's Baxis.co. And here's the good news. Enter Fred25. That's Fred25 at checkout for $25 off your first purchase. And now, please welcome my friend, country music star, Drew Holcomb. So excited to have Drew Holcomb returning to the show. This time we don't have Andy Roddick or the Mannings to mess with you.
That's right, and we're in person, which is nice. Yeah.
Can't beat that. So of all your partners on Sweetens Cove, who is the most annoying?
I mean, definitely Andy.
Andy Roddick?
Yeah, for sure. No, Andy's a dear friend. He's a good guy, good trash talker. I had to teach him a little bit about bourbon. He probably came into the partnership with the least, bourbon knowledge, but he's a quick learner, and he's a lot of fun.
I enjoy Andy. I've spent some time with him
Yeah.
on some things. We did a couple events together, but he's a fun dude.
He is a fun dude.
This is your latest of Sweetens?
Yeah, this is our 22 release, which was a sort of our limited release a year and a half ago. We have the Tennessee, sort of our broad market product, but this is the one I like. It's got the smoke on it from the little Scotch age.
Well, cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming back. That's pretty tasty.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
This is the so this is the Speyside finish one. Yeah, I remember this one.
Yeah, which was an idea that we had been trying for a couple of years, and it was harder to pull off than we thought to get them in and get the juice in them.
So kind of a new format of the show since you were on last. We're kind of going down a flight and talking about them a little bit and having a good time.
Awesome.
So let's get to it. This is the first one we're going to have is a New Riff 8-year-old rye. So New Riff is a distiller up in northern Kentucky, and so we're jumping into some rye right now.
Starting with the spice, I like it.
Let's do it.
It's nice to see a little age on a rye. I feel like so much of what's out there is so young.
It is. A lot of it is young. Oh, that's good.
Very good.
I get a lot of herbal notes on this, like a nice herbal candy. So one of the things that you're very prominent talking about is like how grateful you are to be where you are and everything. What is it specifically that you're grateful for in being in the music industry like you are?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of started the music business as a sort of with a wing and a prayer. I mean, I didn't grow up around professional music. I really was just a fan of music, and music was really important to me as a young person for a variety of reasons. Helped me get through some hard things, and started playing guitar when I was a kid, and it was a 2-year diversion from real life. I was like, I'm going to give this thing a go, and it worked. I mean, I obviously had to work really, really hard at it, and have had incredible amounts of ups and downs, and it's been a long, slow, steady 20-year build. But I have gotten to do things I never dreamed I'd get to do, go places I never dreamed I'd get to go. you know, if you told, you know, 23-year-old me, hey, you're going to someday be a partner on a bourbon brand and own part of a 9-hole golf course. I didn't even play golf when I was 23 years old, you know. My life has just been very interesting, and it's gone ways I never dreamed it would. And I just feel very grateful for that. One of the things I'm most grateful for is I've got a great partner in life, my wife, Ellie, who's always, you know, she was the one I had, like, as soon as I met her, I was like, I got to convince that woman to marry me. And it took a long time, but it worked, and we've built a really fun thing together, and kids are healthy, and but I get to do a lot of beautiful things with great people. And you know, with the Sweetens thing started when I was basically 18. I got a scholarship in college that was funded by Peyton Manning, and to his credit, he stayed in touch with me for 18 years. And then he said, hey, some friends of mine and I we're going to buy this golf course and thinking about taking this tradition of a toast at the beginning of the round and turning it into a bourbon brand. Do you want to be a part of it? And I'm like, 17-year-old me is going, who were you on the phone with?
Wow.
You know? So it's just I'm grateful for a lot of that. I'm grateful to be alive and grateful to get to do things I enjoy with people I like.
The next one we're going to, this is Michter's 10-year-old
One of my favorites.
I know it is. I couldn't wait to taste this with you. But as we're sipping in, I'm curious, like, I know your wife is your business partner on a lot of things.
She is.
How do those business disagreements go?
Going right to it, you know? Well, it's interesting. We kind of run parallel tracks in a lot of ways. She was in my band for 7 years. We started having children, and you know, my band is sort of in this Americana songwriter space, and she was supposed to be writing songs for us. And instead, she kept, oh, so good.
That's good.
It like derails my train of thought good.
That's
Yeah.
how you know it's right.
That's how you know it's right. But she was supposed to be writing songs for us. She kept writing songs about Jesus, and we were like, hey, that's cool, but you got to do your own thing. And so she did, and so we've run sort of parallel tracks for a lot of our life professionally since then. But because we both know what it's like to be on the road, in the studio, in a songwriting room, there's a lot of sympathy and understanding of the life that we both have and have chosen professionally. And then we also tour together some. She's been a big supporter of some of the stuff I've done, whether it's this or whether it's the Moon River Festival, a few other things of sort of a little bit entrepreneurial. She's, you know, my best sounding board and my best critic, and I think she would probably say the same. But when we have a lot of disagreements. I mean, people think that we write a lot together, and we actually haven't. With this year, we decided we're going to actually write and record our record together for the first time. And we're scared to death of that, because typically what happens when we get in a room writing songs together, she's sort of a melody first person, I'm a lyric first person, and those things don't always gel, and you have scar tissue. Like anybody who's been married for 20 years, you have some scar tissue of how you treat each other, and you know, so we had to make a lot of space, and we also brought in a third party for most of the writing, which helped sort of have a referee. But yeah, it's working with your wife is challenging, but also really satisfying when it goes well. And
When that music is cut, will it come out under Drew Holcomb, or will it be?
it comes out under Drew and Ellie Holcomb.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually just put out the first song a couple weeks ago called Memory Bank. And the whole album will come out sort of over the next few months, and then we'll tour all the first quarter next year, all over the country. So just the two of us, yeah.
Some old school stuff going on right there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
What's that ryder look like for you guys when you?
The backstage rider?
Yeah. What's that look like?
Well, I tend to bring my own bourbon on the road because I have a better collection than the venue shopper. But
Yeah. What do you normally get out of there?
you know, you just can't go wrong with Maker's Mark, you know. So we have a lot of guests backstage, and because we're playing all over the country, I mean, I try to bring out a lot of our stuff, but you can't get it everywhere, and so that's sort of a go-to. But then sometimes a venue will know that I'm into bourbon, and they'll try to find me something special, you know, which is always fun. There's a story of there's an artist I'll leave unnamed, but back in the day, right when Pappy was starting to sort of take off, he put it in his ryder, and over the course of a 50-date tour, he got it 35 times.
Wow.
And he has this enormous stockpile of Pappy in his house from touring. Like, those days are long gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, my wife tends to enjoy sort of a white burgundy, and then we have just like, you know, nuts and fruit and deli meat and all the basics. I mean, a lot of artists have gotten, you know, publicly excoriated for their like expensive riders, but really it's your grocery shopping list on the road, because you live on a bus and this green room is your home for the day.
Yeah.
And when people don't understand, you go city to city to city. So when it says, you know, Jack White wants this very specific avocado, it's because he has a recipe that he likes to make for his room, and that's his prerogative. You know?
Yeah.
So
what's your final thought on the Michter's 10-year-old? I know you like it, but
I like it a lot. It's got like a nice little kind of early bite and then a really smooth finish. I love the Michter's 10 on the nose. It's just, I want to make a candle out of it and put it in my room, you know.
some people say they want to make a like a car freshener with it.
Yeah.
Like a car freshener bourbon is not a good idea. You know.
Yeah, now when you, excuse me, sir, pull over. What's that
Yeah.
smell?
The
right.
next one, the third. I know you're like.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, all right,
This
I'm
show's
moving on,
over.
moving on.
I'm just like wanting to smell this all day. This third one is actually a barrel pick of mine that I did for my whiskey club called
Oh,
Marzipan.
cool.
It's basically I sold it through Baxis, which is where I go buy a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You can find some rare ass bottles over there. But ran my barrel pick through it. So this comes from Woodinville.
Okay.
I just picked this Friday.
Really?
They bottled it for us just to have with you,
Oh, that's fresh.
and then they got a treat for you too in your gift bag.
Oh, sweet.
6-year-old Washington State bourbon.
Okay. I mean, are they the only game in Washington State?
No, there's others, but
Yeah.
they're the
They're
most successful.
Yeah, I've seen them before. This is my first taste, I believe.
Yeah, they've done well in my top 100. They almost beat Pappy in one of my tastings once. And
That is really good. I mean, is this like a sort of a high rye bourbon? I don't know.
yeah, this one it's not high rye, but the rye and the corn and the barley all coming from the state of Washington.
Oh, that's cool.
I got to meet their farmers
I love that.
that was growing their grains, and they have like a really close relationship with them.
So they're being pretty collaborative.
Yeah, very. They're a small distillery. They're a small distillery, but they've got pretty decent distribution. To me, of the small distillers, they're probably top 5 out there.
Very cool. It reminds me a little bit of some of the, just maybe this is reminds me of some of the good stuff that's been coming out of Texas over the last couple of years as well.
Yeah. So, when we first met, you said you had like 400, 500 bottles in your collection. Where are you at now?
I've probably gone through about 50 of them in the last 3 years. I've had a little bit of a mentality over the last 18 months of it's time to drink some of this bourbon.
Yeah.
And so I invite 15, 20 people over, and the rule is nobody's allowed to bring me any more bourbon. Somebody can bring something to share, but they got to take it back home with them.
Well, I'm in trouble then because we're sending you home with
Well, that's all right.
some stuff.
You get a pass. Yeah, I mean, last night I had a friend in town, and we actually polished off a 10-year Michter's rye that was probably had just an inch left, and then we started with some Blanton's Black, which I really love. I mean, it's obviously really low proof, very different palate than a lot of sort of high-end American
Yeah.
market stuff, but I have a palate that enjoys the super high proof stuff, but I just don't drink it very often. So when I have that, that's when I'll invite a bunch of people over and say, all right, we've got all this, barrel strength stuff.
Gotta get through it.
Yeah, come on, help me out here. I'm trying to get into sort of a share and deplete and then replenish. I think with the boom that's happened, by the time I get down to 100 bottles, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of really great age stated stuff back on the shelves.
Yeah. We're getting there.
And I'm gonna replenish at that point.
Hey, I'll tell you what, this next one, I've been so giddy to sip this with you. So
Yes, sir.
oh,
Come on.
purple top Willett, 10-year-old. Now,
Can I take a look?
yeah, absolutely. So this is
Speaking of hot, here we go.
there's a famous rye out there called Red Hook Rye, and the woman behind it, her name's Linnell, and she owns a liquor store in Alabama now, but she used to run a spot in Brooklyn, and she has like this famous, incredibly noted palate, and this is her barrel pick.
Fantastic.
And it's allegedly her last barrel pick that she's going to do with Willett. I don't know if that's true, but I do know this particular one is only available on Baxis. So that place I was telling you about where I get a lot of rare shit,
This is
folks,
the spot.
folks can go buy this at home. If there's any left when this airs, hopefully there is. But I couldn't wait to sip this with you because of
Great nose.
your love for the bourbon.
I do love the purple tops. My first experience with the purple top was a friend came to have a New Year's Eve party every year. And this was before I got deep into bourbon. It's probably 7 or 8 years ago. And he brought it to New Year's Eve, and he didn't realize that he left it. And I called him and said, hey, do you want this back? And he said, no, you can keep it. And it was a 16-year, and that sort of started a bit of enjoying the hunting for the hard to find purple top. Oh yeah.
Oh man, that is really good.
Some caramel on the lips. Yeah, that's fantastic.
My God.
It's interesting. It noses way hotter than it tastes.
Yeah.
You know.
This is a uplifting kind of flavor for me.
Yeah.
You know.
So give me a little bit of. I mean, I've paid attention to some of your teaching in the past, but like what are you looking for in sort of the second taste? Because the first one's always just a little bit of an introduction.
Yeah. So the first taste, I kind of like try to trace it on my tongue to see where I feel it most specifically, and then I go back and taste where I felt it most prominently, and then I'll like laser in on that spot of my tongue, and that's how I get the majority of my notes and how I feel about it. And like this one is all over my tongue entirely. It's incredibly mouth coating.
Yep.
Every single inch, and curls up underneath my tongue, like drips down my jawline. It's absolutely beautiful, but it has this like honey and peanut butter and maple, and has like all of these like sweet yet savory notes to them. I don't get like an insane amount of spice, but there's a little tickle there at the end.
At the end, it kind of just right there on the edge of the tongue.
But this is a dangerously good bottle. Like this is one where you know, and there's only 172 of them, so it's one of those where you would hope that you would milk it a little longer. But I have a feeling that if I had this with my cigar club, we would drink the whole damn thing.
Well, that's one of my favorite things about what they do. What Willett does is the numbering on the back, because it's very interesting in terms of like the age and seeing how much was left in the barrel. You know, I was talking to a friend recently who had the option to buy 2 20-year Heaven Hill barrels, and thankfully he had the opportunity to go check them first, and they were both empty. They weren't at Heaven Hill. These had been bought and sold 5 or 6 times. But you see sometimes a 17, 18-year Willett, and you get down there and it's like, they got 70 bottles out of it, and it is what it is, and you'll never taste it again. And so it's a pretty good yield for a 10-year-old.
Those broker deals, all too well, having owned a brand, like you can get some turd sandwiches in there.
That's true.
What are the things that you've done over the years? You've talked about like the grief you experienced as a teenager losing your brother.
Yeah.
How have you incorporated that into your music, and do you feel like that's like helped you get through some of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say grief is a cornerstone of my creative life. I heard it said recently that death is what creates value in life, because it's limited. It's a limited resource. If you could pour this bottle of bourbon out of a sink anytime you wanted to, wouldn't mean much. Wouldn't have any sort of limited value to it. And I think I experienced that in a sort of tragic way when I was young, when my brother passed away. But in that grief, I back to your earlier question about gratitude, I think the thing that I was most struck by was that I was so sad because of the joy that we had together as brother and sister. He was a kid with special needs. He had spina bifida, was in a wheelchair. And my parents sort of had this mentality of, we don't know how long we'll have him. Let's do as much life as we can with every waking moment. And so by the time I graduated high school, I visited 47 states. And there was just a mentality of life is short, do the most you can with the time you have. And I think that's spilled into my creative work. It's a bit of preaching to myself, my songwriting. People say your music can be really uplifting because I have songs like Find Your People and Family. Song about my grandfather called Dragons, about sort of slaying all the difficult things in your life. And I think there's been a sense that cornerstone of grief and of a sort of deep love of what I had that is now lost, has created a bit of a sense of urgency, but a sense of gratitude, and has made me. I work really hard, but I've never really been a workaholic. I've always been able to sort of stop and enjoy the friendships that I have, the people that I have. Bourbon has been a big part of that. It's a great way to, sit with a friend. And there's this John Prine line in a song of his called "Mexican Home," and it says, "My father died on the porch outside on an August afternoon. I sipped bourbon and cried with a friend by the light of the moon." And I think that that's something we all sort of relate to, that you lose something that you love, and the reason it hurts so bad is because it was great.
Yeah.
And sort of gives you a spirit of gratitude for what you still have. So, sort of a long answer, but it's a everybody understands that, especially once you live as long as we have. Not
Absolutely.
that we're old or anything, but
Well,
we're not young anymore.
We both mentioned we got the gray hair going.
Oh
So-
man, the beard started turning gray. I don't have any hair per se, Fred.
Yeah.
It's very limited up there, but
Well, you always have a hat on, so.
usually have a hat on.
Usually you got one of those nice, big, long,
Yes.
round hats.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that, because this next bottle we have, this is the Parker's Heritage of Hope. This came out when Parker Beam announced to the world that he had ALS.
Wow.
And Parker was the master distiller for Heaven Hill. I've had a very profound impact on my career, and just I spent time with him while he was struggling through ALS and couldn't move, and the only thing that he could do was like maybe raise a finger. And this bottle came out a decade ago, and I was excited to share it with you because because of that very story, and also what Parker has meant to me.
Yeah, this is clearly a special bottle. Thanks for Promise of Hope. I love that. That's right in my proof magic spot too.
You like
high
that,
90s.
Yeah. They donate. Cheers
to Mr. Parker. That's fantastic.
Even if I didn't like it, I'd still say it. I liked it just because of what it means to me.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
It actually is really good.
And what's the timeline? When was this
2013.
bottle? Okay.
So this bottling came out in 2013.
Yep.
And this is probably my third bottle of it. I only break it out for special folks, and
Well, I appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely.
That is really, really good. You brought out some wonderful stuff.
Look, man, I gotta deliver.
Yeah.
I gotta deliver for you.
One time I was, we used to make these runs in Nashville up to Bowling Green and at the end of the year and try to see what we could find. And one time interstate liquor store, not this particular bottling, but it was my first time I ever found Parker's Heritage for retail, and it was, that was a good day.
That was a good day.
It was a good day. Speaking of Heaven Hill, that one of those trips was they'd announced they were going to stop making the Green Label 6-year.
Oh, that was one of the worst days.
And I went, two buddies and I went in my car, and we got probably 8 cases of it.
Yeah.
I still had probably 15 bottles. That's my sort of,
That's what, like, the family that owns Heaven Hill, that's what they drink.
The 6-year?
That's what they used to drink.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to the 7-year product.
Yeah.
And I felt cheated. You know? Because then they brought it out a 7-year and then increased it from $12 to $40.
Yep. But I get it. It's like the market's done what the market's done, and it'll come back to earth, But
One of these days.
One of these days.
We keep saying that.
Yeah, that's right.
So I got another little treat for you.
Okay.
This is just for you. I just want you to sip it, see what you think of it, and I'll tell you what it is after. It's unlike anything we've had yet.
Okay. Well, it's pretty high proof, but it's got like a really nice mild. That doesn't bite, but it's definitely it's kicking.
It is. It's a kicker. Well, that's because it is Canadian whiskey.
Oh, really?
28-year-old,
Oh, that's great.
162 proof.
162 proof.
Yeah.
Okay, so Canadian whiskey, talk to me about it. I don't know. I mean, obviously I know like the general market stuff, but.
So this particular bottle does not encapsulate what Canadian whiskey is. This is a hazmat bottle, which means you can't even check it in on a plane because it might blow up on the plane.
Oh, just because of the proof?
Because it's so high in proof.
Yeah. I thought the hazmat thing was like a marketing thing. No, it's
You know,
legitimately hazmat.
It's legitimately hazmat. Like that thing would, we get too close to these lights, it might blow up on us. But this particular bottle is one of those bottle drops on Baxis.
It's pretty dang good.
It does not taste like 162 proof.
No, it doesn't at all. I was gonna guess like 120.
So the
the
Canadian whiskey is a style that is all about blending, and they basically
they're pulling from all sorts of mash bills and
and they distill unique mash bills and they will blend them. There is a movement in Canada to bottle straight or bottle without adding anything. So, and by law, Canadians are allowed to add up to 9.09% of, other things. They can add sherry. They can add brandy if they want to.
Up to 9.9%. You said.
Yeah, 9.09.
9.09.
Why that number I do not know, but
Yeah,
that's the number.
Important.
But truthfully, the market is Crown Royal, and
Yeah.
Crown Royal is one of the more successful brands on the market of all spirits, and it's also become one of the most stolen things in liquor stores. Like Crown Apple, and is like people are stealing it across the country.
That's so interesting.
It's you can study market trends by what people steal.
So, but is it still a sort of corn and barley majority based? With rye.
Rye, yeah.
And some wheat, etc.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of everything.
They actually will have a mash bill that they go through the process. They call it the bourbon mash bill. They just don't put it on the label. Actually, Crown did put it on the label about a decade ago, and then they got in trouble because it violated the trade agreement they have with us that they couldn't put bourbon on the label of a Canadian product.
Yep.
So what's your favorite?
I mean, I'm probably going to say that I'm probably going to have to go with the Willett was sort of a like really special pour.
Yeah.
And they're all very good.
I swear, I had my money going on to the Michters.
I was going to say, I mean, the Michters is like always so amazing. I love Michter's 10. That's definitely number 2. But I'll also add, I'm not typically a straight rye drinker, and that's one of the best ryes I've had.
Oh wow, the new riff.
Yeah, I like a little the age on it. It's kind of attractive, It's pretty good.
So you've got the Moon River Festival that you talked about. Is that something that you hope to do more of? Kind of promotional avenues like that? Because you're very much a business person.
I am a business person. It's interesting though. Over the last 5 years, I think, sort of starting with the beginning of COVID, I had a music festival going. I had a record club that was like a subscription-based vinyl club. I had a farm property that was an Airbnb. I'm part of Sweetens Cove. Thankfully, on that one, I'm not quarterbacking that. I'm just a partner investor and somebody who's out there saying, "Hey, this is great. I think it's awesome." But I sort of realized in that era that the thing that I actually love the most and that does the best for me is when I'm spending time writing, recording, and touring music. And so I have sort of forced myself to draw back from all of those things. I sold the record club to Dual Tone Records. I found partners on the festival, sold the Airbnb properties, and decided just to sort of do. I was basically trying to take everything I love and turn them all into businesses, and it was killing some of the fun of the things that I love. And so one thing I did all that, sort of simplified my life. One of the things that I had done in college that I missed was I was a pilot in college, flew small planes. Gotten back into that. Now I fly myself to shows, fly my family. Went to the Tennessee-Alabama game, recently. So simplifying some of the entrepreneurial spirit and focusing my work life on music. And then the other work thing that I do is focus on being a good partner on the things that I'm already involved in, things like the golf course and the festival and the bourbon. But really the thing that I love is writing songs, recording those songs, and then touring. And sort of forcing myself to make much slower choices on the entrepreneurial side. As I get older, my kids are doing more interesting things and wanting to be more present for their. I've lived a lot of dreams. I mean, you know, I know you have too. Like, you get to this point where you go, I've done a lot of things that I never dreamed I would get to. Now I want to do those things really well and continue to grow and develop, you know, my life and my business and my work and do it better. But also, just because something's a good idea doesn't mean I should do it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm learning how to sort of governor myself on that front and be a little more present with the things that I'm doing and try to feel a little less chaotic. And
I think we can all take a note from that, my friend.
yeah, cheers to that.
Yeah, we'll cheers with the Michters.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks for coming on, man. It's such a pleasure to see you in person. And
You too. I love what you do, and I appreciate your support and encouragement of what we've been doing with
Yeah.
our stuff. But love the voice you have in the space, and appreciate being invited on.
absolutely. Well, let's just remember what it's all about. You know, sipping good whiskey with friends, and
Yep.
that ain't wrong.
We didn't cry like John Prine told us. We didn't. Thankfully, we didn't get to crying, but we did have a good time.
That's right. Absolutely. I love it. All right, man. Thanks for coming on, brother.